Salutations guys, this is Dante with your weekly resource pack roundup. Let's go. Okay guys, here we are. This is BoxCraft Reloaded by MillCzar and AahzChi, and it's a strikingly simple and smooth pack. Now, starting where we normally do by our simple striking stems, you can see that we have slight shading on what seem to be vanilla flowers. Now, moving across to the brick ship house, you can see we have a great distance in our jungle planks. Gone are those thick black borders between each plank, and now we have shading only, differentiating the planks from one another, and it looks awesome. It really pops. Now we have something similar for the bricks, not too different, but we've lost those little details, and we've got a slight shading on the mortar, but I think it looks cool. Now, going through our very simple doors with one big window, you can see everything in this room has been touched to a T, in a pleasant way of course, except possibly for the clock and compass, which do look vanilla. Now for our appliances, we have dispenser, dropper, hopper and furnace, in which we find a slight shading, a slight touch up to the UI, and Kit Kats for leather pants, but apparently. We also have our cauldron and jukebox. Now, here we have our trap chest, and you can tell it's a trap chest by that big ring of dark red, well, paint I presume, could be blood. Having a look at the regular chest, well, very different, you'd be able to tell. Opening it up, you can see the same slight UI tweak there. Here we have our note block, the ender chest with a lovely purple ringed particle effect there, and we have our clean and cracked anvils, and the regulars. Hopping over to the bed, you can definitely tell that they're two beds pushed together. Although in this particular case, with the way the shading's been done, I will forgive it because it almost adds an extra dimension with that shading, almost like there's a slight edge to the bed. Now let's move across to the penitentiary. Here we are. We have Jeeves. And Jeeves, you notice there is that slight shading to the NPCs here, even if they are likely to still go at every chance. And here we have our creepers, which look quite plain but still fairly creepy with that extra little depth. We have our simple skelebobs, a whole selection of zombos there, a witches, lime slimes, and creepy Steve. If you want to have a look in this window here, you can see we have an entire rainbow of villagers here, all in different styles, and they all have the same slight lighting touch there. So, heading up the stairs, you can see here that the paintings are all pretty much the same, slightly more pixelated, and they've all got slightly rounded edges to the pictures. Very subtle, but you know what, it does add something to the pack. If we head over to the stained glass though, if there has been anything done, it's very subtle. I can't really notice it. So we'll just presume for the moment that that is vanilla. Although having a look at the smoke on that torch, again, a lovely particle effect. Wow. Let's head down to the animals. So here we have our evil mushrooms, and they are pretty vanilla. Again, with a slight shading around all the corners, which is quite cool, something I've done on skins in the past. We have our cows, our sheep, pigoos, and our chickens. One thing I'd like to point out though, is the Iron Golem looks almost identical to normal, except he's wearing tinfoil armour like some sort of mental patient of some sort. I think that is really cool, almost worth the pack on its own. Now, with our vegetables, those pumpkins are jacked up. I don't know what they're drinking through those big straws, but they have massive smiles on their faces. They have been having way too much sugar in their diet. Although our melons here, not quite so excited. I suppose they're probably on the diet drink. We have our animals here, Sebastian and Yoko, again with a slight shading, so everything has had that little touch in this pack. We've got our big booger blob sticky piston here, and if you have a look, we also have that same particle effect, which is awesome. Same goes with this guy here, our regular piston. We've got our TNT, which looks a lot like regular TNT, but with a big red border. And this is not a big block of chocolate. This is in fact our redstone lamp, which I really love. So let's head down to the Cave of Wonders, Wonders, Wonders. Okay, so here we have our lava and our water. Now, the lava is fairly normal. I think I've seen this lava before, but the water is amazing. It still has the borders on the water. Even with the animation going, that is a really nice touch. Also a nice touch is the way all of the blocks are really, really cohesive. Because it keeps that squareness, it keeps that broken up, it really does work together. I love the fact that the green ivy is in each individual block. It really works together. Now again, it's all quite uniform, quite OCD friendly on this pack, because it all looks very similar. And as you can see, on the blocks we have a little animated sheen, which is just a nice little touch, an extra touch to the icing. So let's head out. Now, I'm not going to spend too long on the trees here, because they all have a similar design. We've got the lovely planking here in our milk chocolate with the vertical stripes, and a lovely, quite see-through pattern for the leaves. As you can see for the spruce, we have a slightly darker chocolate, but a similar pattern, slightly extended, and slightly darker, same pattern. We have our white chocolate here, similar pattern to the oak for the leaves. I love the birch stroke tiger tree stripes here, but it's all much of a muchness. As with the dark oak, slightly darker, but same pattern as the oak. And we have a very boring acacia here, which is grey vertical stripes, and the same kind of colour, but in salmon. And finally, big fat leaves on the jungle tree with horizontal stripes and a nice fleshy pink colour there for the planking. So before we head down to the nether, wow, cactus. Okay guys, let's head down. Here we are in the nether. You can see here we have a lovely netherrack here, lovely rubyish red with darker borders, light shading and speckled pink there. Really does work together. Now the nether brick doesn't look too different, there's a slight shading on it, but it really does stand out in this particular pack, and I'll show you that in a moment. The nether quartz ore, really nice, mixes in very nicely with the netherrack, with just those big blocks of quartz, as we saw in the Cave of Wonders. And there's all the regular quartz. Oh, disappointment, the soul sand has no soul. It's just a slightly browned version of the netherrack itself, so we'll dismiss that for the moment. And we have what looks like a big stack of batteries all eating each other is the glowstone. It does work, and it kind of works with the obsidian, which I will show you. Now we have our ghast here, which does look vanilla, although he has got that shading which everything else in this pack has. So he has been touched up slightly, in a nice way. And look at those ghasts. They are a work of beauty. And the simplified pigment, the block and the magma slime, it really works together. And talking about working together, look at those magic particles on the Enderman. Wow. Okay, as for the nether as a whole, it's really cohesive. It works as a blocks. Because of the borders on all of the blocks, it looks like a work of Lego fiction. It's awesome, and that's why the fortress, the nether brick, stands out, because it doesn't have those breaks. It's genius. So let's head down to the area of judgment. And here we are in the area of judgment, and we have our lovely cherry berry cakes here, light shading as per everything else. So let's move along. We have the end stronghold here, nothing really to speak of with the lava ore bars looking rather plain, and the bricks itself, you could almost think it's vanilla if you've not looked at vanilla recently with that subtle shading. But what really stands out are the portal blocks. Really well designed. I love the slight almost 3D aspect with the shading, and those ender eyes are so simple it just makes me smile. And that smoke animation makes something else of mine smile, but I can't mention that because I'm trying to be PG. So here we have the end stone. We lose the dead draft, we get a plain, slightly greenish beige, which does work because it does kind of fit in with the moon, or even heaven, if that could be where the end is located. And our obsidian, those 9 spots remind us of that glowstone I mentioned. Very similar, almost as if obsidian is dead glowstone. Now let's head to the area of judgment, but first we're going to stop and have a look at my horse. My horse is amazing. He has also been worked on in this pack, which is a pleasure because it's often left out, horse. So what do I think of this pack? This pack is amazing. Everything has been touched up, everything has been worked on, it's really complete and cohesive. This is good for adventure maps, it's also good for personal use, I really like it. If anything's a letdown, it maybe the soul sand is repetitive, but you know what, give this pack massive thumbs up. This is Dante saying T to the T to the F to the N. Ta-ta for now.